I hope you're all feeling blessed. I just started up without undeafening myself. I knew I was going to mess something up tonight. But we are here. We are back. I was wondering why you weren't responding to me, Sloth. That is my bad entirely. Welcome to Volume 4, everybody. Sloth, we've had some interesting quests this week. If you'd like to kick us off.
We have had some incredibly interesting quests this week. Like, I was up till 1 a.m. this morning waiting for him because it's coming to the end of the chapter and I'm so hyped for what's coming. And we were not disappointed. Holy shit. We have been introduced to a whole new... I don't want to say complete school of magic, but a whole new area of magic that is kind of... has been touched upon before, but is also new in its own right. So with the Chronomaster rune, obviously, we've had an introduction to some form of time magic. However, this week, the first quest that we have to do is we have to go to Castle Bogmore, as it turns out the Bogmore Collective at the end of the Val Mandate, at the beginning of the Val Mandate, sorry, had hidden away something called the Chronolith, which allows the user, and I don't know how it does it or what rituals are needed. We know, obviously, the Bogmore Collective are very into their rituals, but it allows the user to view into the past is all we know at the moment, because we're going to use it to see what happened with the fracture, to see how that all happened and everything. But whether it can look into the future, I don't know. It's very much time bound though, the Chronolith, and it's hidden in Castle Bogmore. Once we find that, we then have to take that over to Sawtooth Mountain, which is the area we need to use to attune it to our current timeline. And hearing Thaddy talk about timelines is something else, I'm not gonna lie. Especially after watching Loki for the past 2 days. Like it's brilliant. Yeah, it's all kind of on the nose at the moment. So we attune it to our timeline at Sawtooth, and then we get word of Beric, his panties in a twist again, and sending his elite Valguard into the Hollowlands to try and disrupt our missions. And we have to go meet them at the Arena of Elders.
A great place to meet them.
It's almost like it was meant to be.
Almost like it's an arena.
Exactly.
Almost like it's designed.
Exactly. So in the middle of the arena, you see the golden circle that we're so used to for drop-off quests and activation quests at the moment. And once you activate that, you are greeted by a NPC in the tier 3 fire skin that I can't remember the name of right now, and wielding a fire gauntlet. And in the introduction to this quest, it does give us a little hint on how to complete it. It says that sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. So I tried shooting it with my ice bow. Obviously, you know, it mentions fire twice and I choose ice.
Good.
It doesn't do any damage. It turns out you have to use the exact gauntlet that they're using, or your noodle, your arcane magic.
Noodles.
Once you defeated the first pyro, you are then greeted by another, I think it's a stone shaper. And once you defeat that by the same means, obviously stone gauntlet or noodle, it goes into, I think it goes into 2 and then it spawns another 2, or it might be 1 and 3. I can't remember exactly. It was late when I did them, but eventually you go through all 6 elements and you have to fight them with the gauntlet, which conveniently enough is below where they spawn.
Oh, that's nice. At least they give it to you.
One of each around the arena and they spawn on the gauntlet.
Imagine having to run all the way back to Halcyon just to grab that grey fire that you saw. So, hello everybody. We're back again.
Hello.
How is everybody doing today?
We're doing good. I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Tired but alive.
Well, we have had another bunch of super interesting quests this week. A complete drop of the Chronolith, and we have a new interesting story implications with the Breakers frozen in their disrupted state. Sloth, if you want to kick us off with the first quest. Sloth, we can't hear you, buddy.
Sorry, mate.
There we go. No worries, man. No worries.
Yeah, no, we had to drop into Fernfall Garrison for the first one and light another flare like we had to in Halcyon. I think it was either earlier this chapter or last chapter. which was quite nice because we don't go to Fernville very often. It's not somewhere that I know many people drop, so I know I'm not very familiar with it, and it was nice to go and explore the actual area around it.
Definitely much a kind of training ground, with the areas to shoot your bows at bullseye arrow targets. That was the word I was looking for. I definitely don't know if I'm speaking for everyone, but I'm pretty done. So apologies if my words don't come out correctly.
Yeah, no, it did be like that this week.
Yeah, brain is super fried.
There we go. But I mean, our second quest was to go and get rid of them dastardly surveillance pods that we put down a few weeks ago on behalf of Ferric. Thaddius informed us that unfortunately they've been working a little bit too well for Ferric, and they've been able to track our every movement in the Hollowlands. So we must go in, pick two of them up, throw them on the floor, break them. Can't track us anymore. Again, I know we spoke about this last week, but it's super nice to see us going back and interacting with previous quest items and previous kind of story quests. Just kind of brings it all back round and leaves a few less loose ends.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of my pet peeves when games and series and movies and that kind of start a storyline and then just leave it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
And
I'm
like
glad
it could.
kind of
Oh no, I
yeah,
was gonna
just
say.
kind of glad we gone back to.
Sorry, I think I might be on a bit of delay, so I do apologize. But yeah, I was gonna say I think it's really cool that we are tying up these loose ends, because in story quests, for a lot of things, right? These could be the things that that's such a small detail that you would never think about. Those surveillance pods that you put back, that you put there for Ferric, for them to bring it back instead of just forgetting about it, because then knowing us, we'd be here 6 weeks into chapter 3 and be like, hey, those surveillance pods, are they still watching us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. It's always them things you've got to look for, because it's what grips you in a story. When there's a lot of time and effort put into like you say, tying up loose ends, and making sure that we get answers to some of the kind of even the smaller questions around the Hollowlands. Such things as surveillance pods and breaker camps and stuff like that. Whether we're going to see any change in those. Obviously, as far as I'm still aware, the Valgad still spawn around the breaker camps. There's still a couple you have to fight off. So Ferric's definitely not letting his forces up by any means, even though he does have a new kind. I don't know whether to call it a new kind of magic or whether to call it a new way to use current magic, but of course on the third story quest this week, we have to go and save some fellow breakers stuck in a disrupted form, which seem to be encased in some dark purple magic, possibly arcane. I mean, I guess it would make sense with the Vow Keepers using arcane magic predominantly, with only the Elite Guard using the elemental gauntlets. But again, this was something I was saying to Sloth just before we kind of hopped and went live, is that we see a lot of mention of dark energy and dark magic through a lot of the outfits and stuff like that. First one that comes to mind is a Sinister Warlock. And its description is, who would dare defy such dark power or dark magic. They seem to reference it quite a lot, so maybe arcane magic can be used in more than just noodling. Maybe we can get more than just a pot noodle out of our arcane magic.
As if noodling wasn't enough.
Yeah, I do think though, obviously this whole entire back half of this storyline has been focused on Guile, and I wonder if that dark purplish energy is, the dark magic has something to do with Guile, right? Because we do know that part of the thing about this whole entire chapter was the revitalizing of Guile's Vital Stone. What if Guile inherently had some sort of ability to manipulate vital energy, right?
I'm very glad you brought that up, actually, because it mentions the corruption of Guile in Garrick's journal when the fracture first happens. And I in that conversation with LD, I literally said, I was like, this is a theory for the podcast. There's maybe it's just all foreshadowing that Garrick isn't this because not this good creature, because we know him as having some kind of hand, or the Vital Stone of Guile had some hand in the creation of the world. which implies good. But maybe all this dark magic, all this dark energy, and the corruption of Guile in Garrick's journal is kind of foreshadowing that Guile is not good. Maybe he's gonna come and bring Ragnarok.
Yeah, definitely feels like a
Which
dark
would explain the
horse.
runes too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. There's just enough loose ends that we can't come to a definite conclusion. But there's not so many loose ends that we have no idea, which is what I'm kind of liking about the story this chapter. I feel like any loose ends that are left for a reason. Especially seeing us come back to the surveillance pods and stuff like that, it just gives me more confidence and belief that we are going to come back to all of these things, and it is all part of a grander story and a grander scheme that we can't even begin to comprehend.
I hope it's not all like neatly tied up by the end of it though, because if it is, then like there's nothing really to go off from chapter 3 to chapter 2 to chapter 3. Like the like that magic for keeping the downed breakers. Like it could be arcane, or I mean, I think there were some different like swirling effects. Like it wasn't just like that same light magenta purple that we have for the noodle. And if I remember correctly, there were like some sparks of lightning off it as well. So is it like a mix of different kinds of magic? Is it a new magic? Is it just some technology that the Vow Keepers use to just like keep people stuck in their orb, or what?
No, for sure. I mean, we know that the kind of spellstorm is related to kind of cracks of lightning kind of magical energy, so it could even be, you know, we see Ferric use the rifts, the spellstorm rifts. Maybe he's been able to use that spellstorm magic, you know, on the breakers. Like you said, I'd completely kind of forgotten about the whole added animation to the down breakers. It's a swirling dark purple to light purple kind of magic, as Merlin said, and yeah, with the little lightning crackles, that definitely makes me think something to do with the spellstorm.
That's a good shout, because we don't know exactly what other magics and secrets the spellstorm still has. I mean, chapter 1 brought along the Doritos and the fracture vents, and the everyone loved it, the Juggernaut buff. So we don't know what other secrets be lurking in the storm before we stop it.
Oh man, the Juggernaut buff.
Valguard buff.
Valguard buff.
It only buffs the Valguard.
Yeah, all the Valguard have the Juggernaut buff.
They just never miss.
Yikes.
Oh wait.
Dude, there's just one big giant Unga Bunga like Valguard just waiting, like has like a machine gun of gauntlets just at the ready, just Stormguard or not Stormguard, Storm buff, Juggernaut. It'd be nuts.
The one Val Keeper to end all Val Keepers.
Yeah, yikes. Real quick before we do anything else, I do want to go back to like this idea of like going back to this side quest and like, you know, doing those little elements. And I really hope, for love of God, that Thadius is like, hey, so you remember those breaker camps you broke? Go back and fix them.
Oh yeah,
I want that as a side quest.
Spend a whole BR game picking up sticks and cloth to just put a tent back together.
We're just playing Minecraft at this point.
Yeah. Spellbreakers
As long as it doesn't
Minecraft.
take like 9 seconds to place each individual stick, I think you'll be fine.
Oh man, could you imagine?
Oh shit. Probably the worst. I literally would.
Yeah, but think about how satisfying it is when you see that tent just like slowly come together, and then you have a little Breaker family come by and say thank you.
Oh, can it be like the Lego games where you just kind of bounce on the spot and chuck all the bricks and it all pops together and then boom,
That'd be nice.
it's just completed. That'd be a nice animation, I think.
Yeah, proletariat, if you're listening, this is the content we want.
Yes.
This is the content update we're expecting in chapter 4.
Let us build tents like Lego games, please.
I want to rebuild the giant wall in Bogmore.
Yeah, can we rebuild the Dread Curtain?
Yeah. Please
Oh, dear.
and thank you.
Hey, yeah, can you just grab me some flex tape? I'll do all the fractures myself. It's no stress, guys. Let's go.
It's good. We got this. I also want to bring up the fact that I don't know if this irked anyone else, but like the fact that like the chronolith, the thing that we were talking about all last week, so hyped for, like just completely got like sidetracked and pushed to the side this week.
Not even a mention of it.
Yeah.
like except for like the end where it's like, let's pray that the chronolith like shows us the thing. It's like, yeah, we were supposed to find out about that this week, Thaddeus. This week was chronolith week.
In his defense, I do kind of feel like Breakers trapped in purgatory is kind of more pressing.
Well, not to us. Maybe to him. That sounds like a him kind of problem.
Yeah, that's why he's the leader. Yeah. That's why he's the leader. We're the protagonists. We just do whatever we want. We're rogues here. But yeah, I guess that's fair. I guess purgatory and saving people from the like of that is a good reason to not find out about the truth.
I
You're
guess.
Right,
Guess you get
And
off this time.
Let's not throw it all in the week before it ends.
I wouldn't be surprised. Just to be like, there's this little bit of info still out there.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Ooh.
We'll find it. If
Brilliant.
there's this little bit of info, we'll find it.
Mm. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, somebody in chat, I just noticed the message in there. I'm not sure if you guys just saw that, but the outro last week did say it's imperative we focus our efforts on the Valguard. The chronolith will be little use to us if the Hololands are wrested out of our control. I mean, yeah, I completely forgot about that.
That's a fair point.
Indeed, that is what all of these fellow lawbreakers are for. When our brains aren't working, they remind us of the information we learned 7 days ago.
7 days was a long time, There's a lot that happened, We were all chronolith, and then there's purgatory, and then breakers, like all over the place. Some people just still don't have camps. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. Dang.
It's interesting though that you brought up earlier. I think it was Adobo that's mentioned that it could be tech, or no, Merlin said it could be tech. But we don't really know what tech besides runes that the Highlands actually held. Like, we have amulets, we have belts, we have boots, and we have runes and gauntlets. But other than that, like, is there any tech?
We know there's the robot skin coming as well.
Automaton.
And yeah, the automaton. Like, if that's just thrown in without like any sort of reasoning, then I'd agree. But I think like because that exists, there's probably more than just runes, belts, and all that little bullshit.
Yeah, and
So
like
I'd like to think there was.
Yeah, I guess the only other technology I've seen is like carts, like horse-drawn carts. I guess they could be classed as technology depending on how far technologically advanced they are, but then that very much goes against the fact that they've built a literal robot, but haven't figured out cars yet.
yeah, I mean, we don't necessarily know what Banehelm was up to, right? So Banehelm was the center of like science and technology. Very well could be that like in the research of the Vital Stone of Guile and Vital Stones in general, Banehelm is the one that created this automaton. Maybe Banehelm created some other funky stuff that is either here to help us or here to hurt us.
The other thing with the automaton, is it definitely like a robot or is it more Brillstone?
It looks like a robot powered by Brillstones.
Yeah, it's
Brillstones or Vital Stones?
I'm gonna be very interested when that's
Or
gonna
are
actually
is it not
eventually
Vital
release.
Stones are specialized Brillstones, right?
Oh, yes. They are, but
Yeah,
does an activated does a Vital Stone imply that there is a soul within it? There is a soul attached to it.
I think so.
Does it need a soul attached to it to be called a vital stone, or is it a vital stone before a soul's attached to it?
This is a chicken and the egg question, isn't it?
I was just about to say that. What came first, the soul or the vital stone?
I don't think we'd be able to tell without like being told this is how Vital Stones are made.
Bro, we need geologists now.
Yeah. or doctors, or clerics.
Because I mean, yeah, I mean, if God could mean that's the thing with not knowing a question like that. I've never even thought about that question, but now knowing that I don't know it raises so many more questions. Now that I'm aware that I don't know this information.
And then we get into deeper stuff where, like, if this automaton has a vital stone, does that mean it has a soul?
Could this be Banehelm's way of bringing back hollowed breakers?
Ooh, maybe that's how they activate the automaton.
Ooh.
That's interesting. That's a really good thought.
It's essentially like Destiny 2 EXO. I'd be down with that.
That'd be pretty cool. I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah,
Spellbreak is just Destiny 2.
Yeah. Turns out the Brimstone automaton is actually the size of a Titan from Titanfall 2, and we like hop in the back of it, like start piloting these huge Titans.
Yeah, that's. Oh my god, could you imagine? That's the trick. Like, we've all been thinking it's a skin this whole time, and realistically, it's going to be something we can ride at the end in the fucking last week.
It's how we fight Ferric. Stamp on
Yes.
his head.
Could you imagine? It's an actual like activatable.
I feel like there would need so much explanation for that though.
No, just drop it in on us.
The doors of
ride.
Banehelm bust open and there's breakers
You
in
mean like
mech
hidden
suits,
time
like-
magic and a random way to trap breakers in purgatory without an explanation isn't enough? We can have giant robots. Give me giant robots.
No, definitely need an explanation for that. we need logical ideas as to why this robot's here. Why are the breakers being trapped? Who gives a crap? Give us the robots.
Oh man.
I do want to know when these last few skins are coming out, though. I can only imagine it's the last week.
Because yeah, there's
I mean-
few, isn't there, that we haven't seen yet. I know for
you
sure
think-
off the top
I
of my head,
remember that, yeah.
Blood Knight and the Automaton.
They could be brought out at the start of chapter 3 as well.
True.
Yeah, that's
They
what I was
could,
going to say.
even be skins for the chapter 3 battle pass. Chapter pass.
That'd be cool.
While we're talking about chapter 3, do you think there's going to be downtime again, or
Yeah.
because I was going to say
Really
like
hope not.
like maybe these are skins that are released during the downtime, just to,
Yeah.
like buy us
Maybe.
over.
I thought that as well. That was yeah, the kind of closer we come to the end of the chapter and we don't see these skins. I was kind of maybe expecting all of them to come out and then the automaton to drop right at the end of the season or the chapter, sorry. But as there's been a couple that haven't dropped now, I'm definitely more leaning towards they're gonna come out beginning of chapter 3 or they're gonna be pushover Lu time skins for the update.
I'm hoping there isn't going to be much downtime this time. Like,
I'd
between...
expect like a week or so.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. If there is, it's going to be max of a week. Fingers crossed, anyway.
Yeah, sure hope so.
Oh yeah.
Just give us lore in those 2 weeks, we'll be fine.
Yeah, just drop some more pages of Garrick's journal, or give us Thaddeus's journal from the
Thaddeus's
from
journal.
the start of prologue up until the end of chapter 2. Give us Thaddeus's journal. That's what I want to
Or even-
read.
Or even before that, you know,
Mm.
when he was, you know, potentially a storm guard.
Yeah,
That leads us quite nicely.
I was just about to say. Yeah, I think that leads
Do
us.
tell us about these Stormguard.
There's
Whoa,
like a
did
beautiful
I just-
wave.
Did I just seamlessly segue into a segment that I'm about to lead? What?
Poggies.
Whoa.
so seamless when you say it's seamless.
Oh no, you're right. All right, all right, everyone in chat, forget what I just
Rewind.
said. I'm just gonna chrono rune back to when I made that seamless segue.
Everybody bash your Chronos, quick.
All right, but yeah, so it does seem very interesting. You know, one of the things that I do want to pose to the chat and to you guys as well is whether or not we think that the Valkeeper, the Valkeepers, or even more importantly, maybe Proletariat, is kind of erasing the Stormguard out of the narrative, because you know we've been introduced to a few characters who, according to the lore, might be associated with the Stormguard, and yet we have not heard anything about it in the full 2 chapters that we've had so far.
I
But
think the closest were the Tide Seers, right?
yeah,
That we had heard
We
about.
know they were attached to the Stormguard.
yeah, so that's like the closest, but also Tide Seers seem very like sciencey to me, where the Stormguard seemed very army oriented.
Yeah.
To sort of just explain it a little bit for those who are not familiar with the Stormguard. So the lore says that the Stormguard were generally in charge of protecting all of the Highlands, as well as primarily protecting the Aegis Towers that we've all come to know and love. However,
They're responsible for the.
yep, they were responsible for some things. But generally, the Stormguard were from Longwatch, and so they were kind of stationed out there, but they protected all of the lands. That becomes somewhat important later. The other thing to know about the Stormguard is they were also a key elemental force in the Lost Wars. And the reason why most people don't know about any of this is because the Lost Wars, as the name might imply, all the information's lost. Which sucks when trying to, like, I'm very passionate about the Stormguard, and to have so little information about, the Stormguard and the Lost Wars it hurts me deep to my soul. But this is where we do see the journal entries that Garrick reads, that he, I believe it's either Nila or it might be Nila that gives him excerpts of it. But we hear entries of, how there is a deadly force coming from like the east of Bogmore, that's attacking, and has caused a lot of strife in the land. And the Stormguard are fighting against it furiously, but it's seemingly a losing battle. This is also the war that caused the 5-hand alliance to initially form. So this war is very instrumental, and the Stormguard played a huge part in it. And the other reason I want to bring up the Stormguard is because as we sort of mentioned earlier in the like recap of the quests, we go to Fernfall Garrison, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Fernfall is named after Commander Aura Fernfall, who was the last commander of the Stormguard, who
Interesting.
also happens to be a Valkeeper. She was so dominant that she was both a Valkeeper and commander of the Stormguard during the time of the Lost Wars.
Damn, go girl.
Yeah, very good. But also, the reason why we don't hear about the Stormguard is because they were quickly, at this point, converted to the Valguard. So the story goes that, and this is what the journal entry sort of implies, because it's from the perspective of a normal soldier, a normal Stormguard fighter, and they believe that Commander Aura Fernfall may have been purposely losing the fight in order to get the 5-hand alliance to go through, but also working with one of the Valkeepers at the time, Lyre Venthrim. They together created the Val Mandate and then outlawed all magic. And the Stormguard, who were proficient magic users in their own right, were then converted to the Valguard, who did not use magic. So, this is the origin story of the Valguard.
Damn.
Wow.
That has
So-
so many interesting implications, and a lot of things seem to fall very nicely in place.
It's
The only
it's
thing I did
interesting
want to
you
mention really quickly,
sorry.
Adobo. No, you're fine. Just because you mentioned earlier in regards to the Stormguard not being mentioned, I really tried. I just tried to find an image for it, but I couldn't. I'll have to search a little bit more to make sure to see whether I'm right or not. But I'm sure on the week that we found out about the Tide Seers and the Aegis Towers, I'm sure there was a mention of the Stormguard protecting the Tide Seers and the Aegis Towers. and I'm pretty sure that was in the piece of dialogue we got at the beginning of that week in chapter 1. Now I know you said you weren't about for a lot of chapter 1, and I'm just trying to find an image because I'm sure I'm right, but I'm not 100% sure. So I don't know if that changes anything for you, but yeah, like I say, I'm not sure if either of you two, Sloth or Merlin, can remember. It was on week 5 of chapter 1 when we first got introduced to the Tideseers, and I'm sure we were told that the Stormguard used to protect the Tideseers and Aegis Towers, and they used Stormguard in the dialogue.
I can't say I remember off the top of my head, but it would probably be on the wiki. Most of them are.
Yeah, I checked the wiki, but the wiki only has the posters. It doesn't have the blocks of text from like Blackthorn and Quincy and that, or not that I can find anyway, unless I'm just
does
being
it not?
stupid.
Yeah, but I would say, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like I said, I mean, there were probably 2 branches of people that helped protect and operate the Aegis towers because they're kind of like advanced machinery, like as far as how it's been described in the lore. And so yeah, maybe like I said, the Stormguard is kind of the army branch of things where they physically did the protection, and the Tideseers were potentially more sciencey, in order to actually operate and learn about what is going on with these spell tides. But yeah,
I definitely get that science army feeling, 100%. I wonder if they actually report to someone, though, both of them, or whether they're independent and just work together.
That would be very interesting. The way that, at least, I don't know much about the Tideseers because I feel like that was explained a lot in chapter 1, which, as Eldegold mentioned, I wasn't necessarily there for. But for the Stormguard, they were, they did operate in terms of organization a lot like the Valguard, in that the Warden of Longwatch was their commander.
Right.
And they were like, brought out to various places that needed help with Stormguard things, anything involved fighting essentially, as well as just generally patrolling. So the Warden of Longwatch was in charge of them.
Of the Stormguard.
Of the Stormguard, yeah. Which makes it
Was
interesting.
he in charge of the Tideseers too?
Potentially. Although, I have no backing for this, but I imagine that whatever the early iteration of like Banehelm and Banehelm Academy was probably in charge of Tideseers.
I kind of was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well that you mentioned that they were fighting a war from the east, because for some reason the amount of times I've read through the lore and everything, that had never clicked to me. And I recently found out that the Prisma came from the east.
Interesting.
Because the trade route is described as going from Halcyon through, I can't remember what location, but it's somewhere on the east border of Bogmore to Vidala. There's no way that would work any other way unless you're going east.
That's interesting.
So,
yeah,
I wonder if the Val Mandate was originally made because the Prisma started a war with us.
That's in. So this is my first time hearing that, and that's a very interesting theory in the sense that, like, obviously we know that the Prisma are, yes, tinfoil hat time. I love it. We obviously know that the Prisma were looking for Brillstones, looking for like magical items. So yeah, what if the Prisma, after being mad about being exiled from the Highlands, came back in full force, and started warring on those borders, and then Liar Venthram was like, we need to make sure that no one ever like touches magic. Clearly, whoever is attacking us is corrupted by the magic, right? They corrupted so much that they're attacking us. And maybe they made it in response to that. So that's a very interesting theory, to be honest.
It kind of makes sense as well, because we know very little about the Prisma, and obviously the Lost Wars are just that, they're lost. So maybe that's why we don't know much about the Prisma, because all the information was lost along with the information on the war.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because like I think we mentioned this last week, but we don't even know who the enemies of the Lost War was, right?
No.
It's like it's just giant like blank field of like mystery. And the only description is like, it was a long and arduous fight, essentially. But it's very interesting. I think one of the things that I had theorized, kind of going away from the Prisma theory, was that what if these were like dark corrupted forces of Guile, for some reason.
Because
That was attacking.
weren't a lot of the forces from the Lost War attacking through the Dread Curtain? Wasn't that where a lot of the forces came through, or am I remembering that wrong? Because that would put it on the other side of the map from the. Oh no, that is the east. I'm thinking the map the other way
East,
around.
southeast kind of Bogmore corner.
Yeah, I definitely think that, you know, it is a Dread Curtain. It does say in those journal entries that they had to retreat to I forget which part, but there's a part of
Deadmoss.
Bogmore. Yeah, they had to retreat to Edmoss in order to from these forces. And there were concerns that the forces were going to try and take down the Aegis Tower that's close by to there.
Well, they originally thought that the forces were going to attack Deadmoss, which is why they went back to protect it, and then they soon found out that the forces just went straight past Deadmoss and straight to the Aegis Tower. And I don't think they were expecting that. I think they were expecting them to try and take Deadmoss, because it was more of a civilian town, if I'm not mistaken. So they were under the impression they were going to take it as like an outpost to push further into Bogmore, but instead they just skeeted straight to the Aegis Tower.
Yeah, which
And it's
clearly
Interesting
then,
that means they passed Castle Bogmore as well, because any attacking army, if they're attacking as an invasion, would ransack a castle as a sign of control.
I guess that also gives us one bit of information about the enemies of the Lost War in regards of they knew what the Aegis Towers were, and that they were extremely important to our survival in the Highlands.
What if the storm isn't a naturally occurring, like, it's magic? We have space people now, right? What if the storm is just some kind of storm magic or magic we're not familiar with yet from another race that we don't know? If it's not from the fracture, and that's what we're going to find out next week. Because it was appearing long before the fracture happened. There were spell tides that we'd predict and take shelter from and whatever, which very much seems similar to the storm itself.
So you kind
So
of
if they've been happening before the fracture,
yeah. So you kind of alluding to a bigger difference between the spell storm and the spell tides.
if there is one, then might not be a difference between the spell tides and the spell storm. It might be all one and the same.
I mean,
and it
I
might
definitely
not be
think
from the fracture.
I definitely think the difference is the spell storm is a lot more dangerous to us than what spell tides are. I think we mentioned this last week where, you know, the tide coming in, it's kind of nice, it's relaxing, it's pretty vibes. The storm coming in, run, go. So yeah, but like I say, what you said, Sloth, it kind of gave me the idea of, you know, the storm is almost completely different to the tides, and that the spell tides were a different magic to the spell storms, which is why the spell storms broke down the Aegis towers and they didn't.
Complete another way of
They
looking at it.
didn't, you know, they didn't work. Maybe we tried to use the Aegis towers when the fracture happened, but they didn't work, or they were already too far broken at that point.
And here's my, like, if I had a tinfoil hat, I need that paper hat that I made earlier. But what if Ferric tampered with the Aegis Towers before the spell storm occurred?
Like sabotage them or
Sabotage. So here's my tinfoil hat theory. I wish I had a tinfoil hat. I'm just gonna wear this.
We can have a
box real
tinfoil hat
quick.
making stream one day.
Yeah. All right. Here's Adobo's box hat theory. So, and this ties in a couple of things that we've said over the past few podcasts, which if you haven't seen the podcast, go check it out on the Lorebreakers YouTube. This is an ad for it. But
shameless self plugs.
yeah, there it is. Yeah, I'm just here to shamelessly self-promote our other stuff. But what if Ferric realized that he needed the full fury, the full magical power of the spell storm in order to revitalize the vital stone of guile? What if he needed that kind of arcane magical energy that the spell storm provides, almost like a Frankenstein thing, and he channeled it right into the vital stone that they had reconstituted? However, So, well, in order to do that, he had to make sure that the spellstorm came in. So he tampered with all the Aegis towers in order for the spellstorm to actually infiltrate the Highlands. And his plan worked. However, it worked too well, and it blew up, creating the fracture, destroying the Highlands, turning it into the Hollowlands, and I was gonna say fucking us all, but well, this is an adult stream,
Yeah.
so we're good.
That's really interesting, because that instantly springs into my mind that maybe the spellstorm has already happened millennia, centuries ago, and over hundreds of thousands of years we've built this technology in the Aegis towers. And this also brings on to us as breakers and magic users absorbing the energy from the spellstorm. Maybe with the power of the Aegis towers, along with so many magic users in the Highlands, we were sucking in all that magic energy, so they were only spell tides, and we'd learnt that from having the spellstorm before, putting the Aegis towers up, realising we suck the magic in and it's not as bad. So that then also leads on to, then Ferric tampering with the Aegis towers. It's then set us back to the point of where the spellstorms are about, but it's been so long that nobody who is alive, or there is no recorded history of spellstorms ever existing before. Because we don't know how long this world has been here for. It could be...
It's been here for 1 year.
I too have kind of, with what you were saying, Adobo, have kind of used it to feed into a theory that I had with the Bogmore being the bad guys overall. They're all subterfuge and secrecy and everything. I've already been thinking that they're going to be the next big bad, if not already the ones that behind the curtain. And it would make sense that they know to go for the Aegis towers, because they have the chronolith. We don't know if it can go forward in time.
Right.
If they saw a potential, we don't.
The
I've got the simple hat
Shadehander.
on. We don't know about multiverses or anything, right? But they could have seen a different future where this happened, and then they would have been like, right, this is how we seize control.
Well, the Shadehander are the ones who we investigated. Well, kind of investigated in chapter 1, and how we found out about the Aegis towers as well. So, quite possible that they have.
I have this big feeling that the Bogmore aren't going to be friendly by the end of the chapter, or at least by the end of next chapter.
Yeah.
The Shadehand has always been an untrustworthy character in my eyes. Just everything about it, I guess, is very elusive and unknown, and very, very sinister, I guess, is the best word for it. Everything that character seems to do is done in a very shady and underhandy kind of way.
The shady handy.
The shady handy.
The shady handy.
Huge.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense for Bogmore potentially to be a villain. But in my heart of hearts, I'm really just hoping for some really weird unknown thing, like Dustpool decides to rebel because they really hate us for killing their hand, supposedly.
Turns out it's Halcyon, and they fight us from the inside out and push us further to the top left-hand side of the map over the mountains.
Yeah, Halcyon just continues to break our camps. Because
Halcyon would have been the only one fully protected from the spell tides, right? Because of the placement of the Aegis towers, none of the other major locations.
It seems
we
that
still
way.
don't know how.
Because that's the thing, we don't know what the spell tides were like. Because I'm just going on the assumption it's the same thing as it's a circle that comes in, but if that was the case, it's just.
Could you imagine if
just
an
good
vibes,
vibes,
storm
man.
just came in as a circle like that?
It's like, oh, the spell tide's coming. What? How can you tell? Well, you see the circle of doom around us? No, it wouldn't have been a circle of doom if it was a spell tides. It would have been a circle of vibes. It was just good feelings.
For sure.
Going back to the Lost Wars that you were going on about, one thing that is worth noting of the forces that invaded was that they were either threatening enough or powerful enough to really scare the Bogmore and give them a fight for the fact that they had to call in the Stormguard.
True. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because it definitely doesn't seem like a humanoid or like human or like any of the races that were like presently around. Because it was very frightening, especially like even to the Bogmore, and like the Bogmore know like all right. So seemingly they would have had, if it was any other person, it would have been like, oh, we know their weakness. But this one was just like, yo, they keep invading us. They keep like attacking our shit. And they're causing problems for us because one of the other things that the forces supposedly did was, I forget the name of the hand, but the original hand of the people, who is the hand of Halcyon, his niece was killed like on the way over from like essentially near Bogmore territory, and so he had blamed the Bogmore people, but the Bogmore people were like, no, that wasn't us, that was those forces that are wrecking our stuff right now.
What if there were never any forces and it was the Bogmore?
Ooh, this was all a ruse.
Yep. We know nothing of the Lost War for a reason. People forget things when they come in contact with the Shade Hand.
Ooh, it was Bogmore.
We don't know how long the
attacking.
Shade Hand lives. We don't know anything about the Shade Hand. If my theory is right and the Bogmore are the next big bad, they could have been trying to seize control for God knows how long.
This whole time.
Yeah, it turns out Ferric is just a puppet of the Bogmore Collective.
It really wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't surprise me.
The Shade Hand is actually in control of all of this.
Wait, so are you telling me that the Shade Hand is not just in control of Bogmore, but also in control of the Val Keepers, the Val Mandate, and the Val Guard?
Yes.
My God,
Well,
he's
not the
created
Val
his
Mandate.
own. Well, I what if
The Val Mandate he had no hand in because it was the hand of you said it was Fernfall and Liar.
Liar Venthram and Commander Aura Fernfall?
But so if they did it off their own back, perhaps they did it because they realized it was the Bogmore using their magic, and they were like, right, no. Perhaps the Prisma weren't the enemy, and they were just a collateral damage.
Interesting. But then does that mean that the Val Mandate's right? I don't know. That's a lot of questions.
It's like something to think
My
about.
brain.
Was the Val Mandate actually good? Well, I guess like Ferric does try and make a new Val Mandate, so maybe he didn't agree with the old one originally, which kind of lends itself.
Because that's really interesting to me about like an old Val Mandate as well, because we know that when Garrick was sent on his journey to go and find the Val Mandate, the only thing that he found was a journal from Leoven, which was an in-depth guide on how to train breakers and use magic in a solo and team setting, which could not be more opposite as to what Ferric is trying to do. So maybe the original Val Mandate, maybe Val Keepers originally were keeping magic alive and were keeping the knowledge of magic alive, and Ferric has just completely flipped it over as to try and erase that part of history. If he renames it and everybody knows it as something different, then nobody would ever think that magic was good.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
I can definitely see that. Although I will say, from what it seems like, Liar Venthram and like Aura Fernfall like also didn't like magic. So I think the Val Mandate did still come from a place where like, the Val Keepers were essentially trying to limit the use of magic. The only thing I would say about like the Leoven theory is that we don't actually know that Leoven was a Val Keeper, right?
Yeah.
My theory is I think Leoven was a Stormguard.
That would
Just
make
to throw
sense.
a spanner in that, put the tinfoil hat back on. What if Leoven was Garrick's grandfather?
That would make Garrick and Ferric related
Siblings, yeah.
I mean, I was that is an interesting theory, because I do agree. I think the way that it's described in the lore that Garrick's grandfather is also a Stormguard, because it did talk about him fighting in a war pretty courageously, with the use of magic. Obviously, he had a fire gauntlet, but that no one ever talked about it, and I think it's because he was part of the Stormguard pre-Val Mandate. But the fact that Leoven and Garrick's grandfather being the same person is a very spicy, definitely tinfoil box hat related worthy thing.
I'm
Oh,
not
that
even
would've been
gonna
bold
take
out of
that.
bold.
That's still got liquid in it.
Don't worry, I'll attempt it for you.
Ah, yes. The cap is the biggest brain energy.
But yeah,
Yeah. That's all my tinfoil theories for now.
But those aren't the only Stormguard potentially that we have potentially encountered or to date. Actually, in fact, another seamless segue. Chrono mastered that back. But actually, Nila Qay, who we talked about extensively within the lore itself, especially during our first episode that was lost to time because of Ferric. And then Thadius Vanderun, Thaddy Daddy.
Oh yeah.
Also potentially both Stormguard. And we mostly get this information from, and I guess, take this with a grain of salt because this comes in the form of a dream that Garrick has while potentially under the influence of Shadehand. So, but we do see that...
Shadehand and Drive.
Yeah. But we do see a young, seemingly Thaddeus at around 15, going up to a lady that he recognizes, that Garrick recognizes, and informing him of some unfortunate news that what we eventually find out is that Nila Qay's wife has passed. Probably due to either the Lost Wars or the hunt after the Val Mandate was passed, where they tried to outlaw anyone who used or is using magic. And so we get the sense that they are soldiers. And during this time in the lore, we were speaking extensively about the Stormguard. And so it's kind of sort of a natural assumption that Thaddeus and Nila were both part of this force. We're both magic users. And we're both part of the guard before they eventually became breakers.
That would make a lot of sense, especially since we see, as soon as, like, in any situation we see Thaddeus in, everyone's fine until he gets a stone gauntlet on. As soon as he's in combat, Ferric is out, dude. He's having none of it, and that's probably because he knows that Thaddy has years and years worth of Stormguard experience using his stone gauntlet, and then has joined the Breakers and continued to train other people using his methods. So I couldn't agree more with Thaddy Daddy being a Stormguard. It would make sense as to why, he's a leader of the Breakers. He's got experience in fighting wars and battles and in big forces. So yeah, I really like that.
What if Ferric was too?
Oh, whoa! I elaborate, sir.
I've thought about
Tinfoil
this
Hat.
before.
If it feels like Ferric and Thaddy just have more beef besides the Val Keeper, Val Breaker kind of.
I
It
think
feels
they have
like
a history.
Yeah, I feel like there's a history there, and it could even go as far back as the way that the war changed them. Thaddy stayed compassionate, wanted to help people, knew magic didn't hurt anyone, but Ferric has seen what magic can do if used improperly. Perhaps Ferric is coming from a good area, but going the wrong way about it. Maybe he's Thanos.
Spellbreak is Marvel.
Spellbreak, Endgame. Brum, 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 brum.
Wouldn't like they're roughly, from what we can see from the designs, they're roughly the same age.
And that's the thing.
Obviously, Ferric has been
around
the whole time that Garrick was talking as Thaddy, and they were both well known then.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of that maybe runs counter to that is, and this isn't like proven or anything, but we know that Thaddeus is using a Vital Stone, similar to how Nila Qay uses the Vital Stone, and she's been around for forever, right? So assumingly Thaddeus has been around for older than his age would assume. And to be honest, he looks good for his age anyway.
Hell yeah.
But Ferric does not look good for his age, and I can only assume it's because he's not using a Vital Stone.
Yeah.
And so,
but Ferric looks older than he is.
Yeah, which
Ferric's actually only like in his 40s, right?
dear
Yeah,
God,
about
he's only in his 40s.
He's 50, I think it says in the thing they released pre-chapter 2, wasn't it?
I think so.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't necessarily know, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Ferric is not using a vital stone. That age is all natural.
Oh, natural.
All natural aging. And like, but like I do think that like there is some sort of deeper connection between the two, and maybe it is that
Ferric
like
is 64.
Yeah, I was just about to say 64.
still looks bad for his age.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he looks
He
like
looks
80.
closer to like 84.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah, not to put down, old people. It's just I think I'm biased because I hate Ferric.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I do think that there is some sort of deeper connection there, and I wonder if it has something to do with, Ferric's grandfather Leovan. Did he have some sort of relationship of some sort with Thaddeus? Does Ferric blame the Breakers, right, for besmirching the great name of Leovan? And Leovan can't be mentioned because he did wield magic.
Just as a
I wonder-
Just a quick side note, do we know if Leoven's dead? Like, for sure, is he dead, or are we not sure? Or
It's
did he run
MIA.
away? Was it one of them things where he just disappeared one day and no one ever heard from him?
It was more one of those things as he was only mentioned within the mention of that diary.
Yeah,
He's
I thought
Ferric's
as
grandfather,
much.
and I mean, if Ferric is 64, I can only imagine that Leovan would be between 120 and 150.
Yeah, we know it's possible
about
though. I
right.
mean, with vital stones, if he was a magic user, obviously somebody was like between 200 and 300 years old through the use of a vital stone. So it's not necessarily out of the realm of possibility. I was just interested. I wasn't 100% sure whether he had like a confirmed death or not.
No,
no,
journal
no.
serves as a possible evidence that Leovan broke his vow to the vow keepers long ago. So yeah, it's very likely that he is using magic to stay alive.
Scalander's
Yeah.
just put a good point in chat as well. Thaddeus did say breakers aren't the only ones who use vital stones.
That's true.
It wouldn't surprise me if Ferric was using one. He's trying to reassemble the vital stone of Kyle. He knows more than anyone, like about as much as we do, or if not more, about what they're doing and what they're capable of.
In Dominion, do we recall using a vital stone? Is that how the recall works?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, the
Because
colour.
in BR, the vow guards that spawn will also do that.
Yes, yeah, they do. Yeah, because the
If that's the
breakers,
case, where
the
the hell
breakers
is the
and the
merchant?
keepers do it. Isn't it? Whoever wins, whether it's the breakers or the keepers, they
Yeah.
recall. So yeah, the vow keepers use vital stones. Then, well, they must do to go into the Hollowlands. Because I'm
true,
guessing
yeah,
without a
and
vital
yeah.
stone, there's no
Ferric
way out.
uses portal magic as well in
I mean-
the trailer.
Yeah, storm hatches.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I think you can get out of the Hollowlands without a vital stone. But if you go down into Hollowlands without a vital stone, you're boned.
Because that's what's
You're
always.
dead.
It's always kind of a small thing that's interested me. Because we know all 41 other breakers go back to their vital stones during a battle royale game. But when you win, what do you do? I mean, I'm guessing after like what you just said,
probably
Merlin.
just
I guess you just recall. Yeah. It's that animation.
You just dance on them.
Just sit there and wait for the storm.
Yeah.
All right,
I
beam
was-
me up, Scotty, and then you just stand in the storm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but what if the storm circle's so small that you don't have 6 seconds to recall? You just pop. Your victory meant nothing.
Well, then mission accomplished. You're back home.
Something that also, just off the end of that, when you win a game of Battle Royale and you recall, or, as we're assuming, we recall back to the training grounds, do we keep all of the stuff we had on? The gauntlets and the amulet, and is that how we bring
I
the stuff
assume we
back
do.
to research it?
Yeah.
That's what I kind of thought. Because I'm
then-
guessing if you go back to your vital stone, you don't have it. But yeah, a kind of winner of a match per se.
The only other thing with that is if we go back to our vital stone and we recall, how the hell is the merchant there?
Maybe she's
Magic.
inside of our vital stone.
What if
Vital
the
Stone.
merchant doesn't actually exist?
Ooh.
She's just in our imagination, or maybe she's the Cortana to our Master Chief.
Imagine a merchant.
Spellbreak is just Halo.
And it was
It
all
was
a dream
just
all
a dream.
See how many pop
Spellbreak
culture
is just
And then Harry woke
Spellbreak is
up.
just Inception.
Yeah, and then Harry woke up in the cupboard under the stairs. Turns out it was all a dream.
references.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, it is interesting. Like, yeah, where is the merchant? Is the merchant just waiting by all of our vital stones, just like, sell me your goods?
She's just got him there in her arms, like, right, who's coming through next? You. She just chucks it on the floor.
You can't see the merchant unless you have a boon. What if the boon is some sort of ritual or a shard of their vital stone?
Maybe.
What are we doing with a bunch of shards of the merchant's vital stone? Unless
Summon
the
this
merchant is
merchant.
Guile.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's got to hurt running around with a lot of sharp shards of rock in your pocket, though, right? Like,
once you summon her once, it disintegrates.
yeah.
Like, oh shit.
It's only a shard, not the full stone.
Yeah. Well, at least I got the sweet gauntlet off of her before her shard obliterated.
Yeah. Has a little self-destruct sequence.
Oh lord.
It just dust.
Because yeah, that's the only thing that kind of makes me go against the idea that the merchant is like a figment of our imagination or stuff like that. Is because how does she give us physical upgrades if it's all in our mind? Do we all just actually have white gauntlets the whole time? We all just think we're doing more damage. It's all placebo effect.
With the power of belief.
Oh no. I mean, we talked about this last week, right? It's like the merchant's just a figment of our imagination, and it's just unlocking more parts of the breaker's brain so that they can, you know, imagine, like, bring their imagination to life. It's a wild theory. It's probably not
Maybe
true.
maybe it's this breaker's own magic that upgrades the gauntlets
What if
by like powering up the brimstones inside.
what if the HoloLens
So we
are
have the
just
noodle, we have arcane innate energy.
I was gonna say, what if the HoloLens are just so filled with arcane energy that it's like, oh, I forget the one space in D&D, but essentially where all of our imagination just comes to life. It's just so magical. I don't know. It's a long theory.
What if we're in the Matrix?
Yeah, I was gonna say we chucked a lot of interesting stuff out right then.
Spellbreak
What if?
is the Matrix.
Simulation theory.
How many different pop culture references can we find within Spellbreak?
Listen, my editor brain is just trying to create a compilation for a YouTube video. Like, Spellbreak is pop culture reference.
Spellbreak is insert pop culture here.
Spellbreak is pop culture.
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
man.
if there's nothing else you want to, if there's no more information that we have on the Stormguard, then I'm happy to go on to questions.
There was a couple more things I wanted to mention about Thaddius. Because obviously I know that we're all kind of... I don't know how much we believe of Thaddius, because, you know, I know we've thrown so many theories around of it being different people that caused the fracture, but of course we've always got that go back to of Thaddius saying to us, oh, my granddaughter created the fracture, like it was her fault, I know this. And I was interested by that because now we've had the chronolith come in. Was Thaddius there and did he see it, or was he watching it through a chronolith, or has he been told it and he just takes it as gospel? Do we have any more implications who his granddaughter was? Yeah, I know. There's two main people that we think it is, right? It was Hope and that girl whose name got mentioned a couple of weeks ago who had never heard her name before. Say it again?
Sana.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, those two. Like that, I'm guessing those are the main two assumptions. I still think Hope, purely based on Hope's end alone. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Like, I'm adamant that that place has something to do with the reconstitution or the fracture, or we know it's always described as a barren, ashy, just dead location, and especially with that
Not
new door
fun.
that was added below Fernfall Garrison, that comes from Hope's End going under Fernfall, is really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, in an older video I did have a third assumption, but I do like the Hope idea better. But I thought it was the Banehelm, the Hand of Knowledge. Linus Springflare, I think her name was.
Yeah, I remember that video actually.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I like the Hope idea better, just because it does give Thaddeus an in as to why he knows about Garrick. And so there's like, you know, nice plot stuff there. So I hope it's Hope.
I'm not gonna lie,
yeah.
Scalander kind of just really made me rethink a lot with the message that you just put in chat. If Thaddeus
yeah.
knows who caused the fracture, why does he want us to find the chronolith? Shouldn't he know already?
I don't think they know how to use the chronolith. Otherwise, they would have already have used it straight away.
Yeah, and I think and I was actually going to say this earlier, but I think Scalander's onto something. I think he knows that, like, generally Thaddeus's granddaughter was involved in the creation of the fracture, and I think Thaddeus is trying to find evidence that it was an accident and not purposeful.
Okay, yeah, that
And
makes
so,
sense.
Yeah, potentially he's using the chronolith to see, like, you know, maybe, you know, Ferric was manipulating his granddaughter in order to do this, or his granddaughter was tampering with something she didn't understand and accidentally did this. Just some sort of, like, alibi so that she can go tell the people, like, yes, my granddaughter caused a fracture, but it wasn't her fault.
No, that makes sense.
The other thing is, we've got to remember that in this climate that we're in at the moment, the Veilbreakers are very much rebels to be not listened to. And if Thaddeus is the only one saying, it was my granddaughter, over Ferric saying, it was the Veilbreakers, Thaddeus is probably just trying to get some proof.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, look, the Vow Keepers are lying. I have the evidence. Come listen to me.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah. Oh boy.
As much as Thaddy knows, it's only Thaddy that actually knows. Everyone else is kind of believing Thaddeus or discrediting him and saying it's the Veilbreakers and magic.
Yeah.
What if Thaddeus is his granddaughter?
What if Thaddeus' granddaughter is Ferric's beard? Going into the quantum realm now, boys. I love the random assortment of items you have on your desk.
Yeah, and yet no tin foil. You got tin can.
Close enough. Just cut it in half.
You're right. Oh, what a time.
This is my tinfoil hat.
He was Spellbreak mask.
Oh yeah, boy.
Look at that.
One of my mates got it for me for Christmas. Like,
Pretty
it was
sick.
great. I was like, hell yeah.
All the gold's official.
Sorry?
You're official. You got the official merch, or at least it looks official enough.
It looks
More
yeah.
official than our jazz.
Yeah.
Only merch we'll see in this country for a long time.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
America.
America. It's an onion.
Yeah. Can we answer that question in the Q&A? Is Spellbreak an onion?
Oh,
There are many
layers.
layers.
Many layers.
Oh man.
I like to think of Spellbreak as a parfait.
Ooh.
Spellbreak is just Shrek.
Somebody want.
Oh my god, that's how Thaddeus gonna come into battle later. He's gonna whack some doors open a bit. Somebody.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
I'm broken.
That's why Ferric left so soon. He knew what was coming next.
Yeah, he was like,
Oh,
nah,
God.
I've heard this song enough. It's way overplayed, dude. I'm out.
Shrek outfit 1.
Oh no, I want a gingerbread man outfit when.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there has to be a donkey one because every time that Stone Shapers throw a boulder, it'll be like, I like that boulder.
Just
That's
a voice
nice
line.
boulder. Can the Hololens just be one giant swamp? And we can just yell to get out my swamp.
Oh, get out of my swamp! I love it.
Is Lord Farquaad in Halcyon? Is Ferric Lord Farquaad? Yeah.
That's why he has such a big chair. He's literally only 3 feet tall.
Oh,
It's
no.
just Lord Farquaad in a Ferric outfit.
Scooby and the gang show up to
I was
rip his
just about to
disguise
say
off.
that and rip his mask off. Let's see who's really behind this.
And I would have
Lord
gotten away
Farquaad!
I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling breakers.
And your stupid dog too.
You stupid dog.
Oh dear.
Scooby-Doo outfit one.
Yeah.
Oh, this has gone way off the tracks.
Yeah.
Can you imagine we had structure to this podcast?
I know.
Bad ideas.
Every week, Sloth's like panicking, like, "Oh, we haven't got any topics to discuss," and then we spend 10 minutes on the topics, and then an hour talking random shit that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the topics.
Yeah, we just spent 5 minutes on Shrek, which I'm
Next
not
week,
mad
I'm literally
about.
just gonna
but-
put, so next week's topic's right, Shrek, yeah?
Shrek, Star Wars, Avengers.
Chat, hold on. Here's the thing for chat. Chat, let us know a pop culture reference that we somehow have to tie into Spellbreak for next week.
Indeed.
We'll do it.
We'll do it.
And you can name as many as you want. I challenge you. I'm waiting for that chat to blow up now. I'm watching.
You're gonna have to start finding dinosaurs in Spellbreak, Jurassic Park.
Back to the Future, easy.
Chronolith, done. It's basically the DeLorean, but just rock form.
Chronomaster,
Imagine
we're
if we had to
good.
Get
Get
it
out
at
of
88
here.
miles an hour.
Onions, Shrek, done and booked.
Man, you need to go faster than this because we're going to wipe this out right now. We're not even going to wait till next week.
But yeah, Sloth, as you said earlier, unless anybody has anything else to say, we can move on to the Q&A, get the last bit of structure that we have for this podcast rocking and a
The
rolling.
last bit of sanity
Imagine
in
the
this
law
podcast.
sticking on topic.
As we're all just placing random items off our desks on our heads, talking complete shit.
Indiana Jones, easy. Breakers are just trying to find artifacts out in the Hololens. Give me a challenge.
Wizard of Oz. Ruby Grove is just the
Roger
reincarnation
Boulders.
of the Ruby Slippers.
Done.
Done.
Barrack is the Wicked Witch of the West.
And
Done.
The Brewstone Automaton is the Tin Man. The Prancing Lion is the Cowardly Lion.
Yeah.
I
Um,
know
Finding
we actually have
Nemo.
a scarecrow.
huh?
No, we do.
We do actually have a scarecrow, don't we?
Yeah.
Easy. The Baron. Got it.
Titanic.
Finding Nemo. Finding Guile. Easy. Get out.
It's fucking beautiful. Oh no. Titanic.
Oh, that one.
I mean, E.T. Easy, the faking. He's an extraterrestrial. We'll send him home. That'll be alright.
Oh, Titanic, easy. Garrick and Hope, romance. One person dies.
Oof.
Next, but also oof.
Oof size
Okay.
medium.
Okay, for all future ones, post it in the general Discord. We need to get to the Q&A before I get like too crazy. Someone stop me.
The Finding
So-
Guile one just killed me. I'm done.
The first question that was left from last week: is the chronolith confirmed to be a object and not a sentient thing?
No.
I
Not
thought it was
confirmed.
just an object.
It
Well-
looks. We
It
don't
didn't
know.
seem to be sentient for me anyway.
Mm.
Not at the moment, but we don't know what ritual or what needs to be done to power it up.
You just do a
Yeah.
ritual and it just
Explain.
stands up. It's like, right, so where do you want to look? One sec, he's just flicking through his diary.
No,
Just reading
the
through
chronolith
book
is
3.
literally just the time wizard frozen.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, not to get like into like really like not to derail this even more, but like, what really is the difference between an object and a sentient being? You know, especially if we have the Brillstone automaton, right?
It really
Which
depends
gives-
on who you ask in this world as well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, would the Brillstone automaton be a sentient being or is it a object?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. All right. That's
It just
all. That's all
looks
I want
like
to
it
say.
should move. It doesn't. It's a statue.
It's literally the worst skin ever because if you put it on, you can't do anything.
Lamp is a sentient being.
Do you see do you see there being a quote flashpoint in Spellbreak? Not sure what that was referencing. I wasn't here for that one.
Flashpoint being like a arc in the DC universe.
Okay,
Where-
I've just typed into Google flashpoint, a place, event, or time at which trouble such as violence or anger flares up.
Or
now,
I mean,
now would
look
be
at
the flashpoint.
yeah. I was gonna say look into the like Flashpoint DC the Flash arc. Like I think that might be closer to what they were looking for because this is like where like you travel back in time and prevent something from happening, and then like you go back to the present and like everything's changed.
But that wouldn't work because then the thing in the past wouldn't have happened for you to need to go back to the past to fix it.
Paradox.
You see, the Flash did not think that way. The Flash moved
The
so
Flash
fast
just didn't
that
care.
the Flash was like, Merlin, I see your point, and I raise you Godspeed.
Yeah, Chameleon
I
did
see
just
your
put in
point,
checks.
but
It was Chameleon
The
that
one
asked
bad
that
thing about being
question.
able to move faster than light is that you can only live in darkness. So I don't
Ah.
think that he thought about anything beyond
The Flash is literally
time
the worst.
travel.
Dang, bro, that's like shower thoughts, man.
The Flash
Never see where he's
sees
going.
the Flash sees your point and raises you. He's fast as fuck, boy.
Oh yeah, you got me
Gotta
there.
go fast. Yeah, Chameleon said I was thinking DC Flashpoint, because it was Chameleon who asked the question last week.
Right.
I'm really not sure. I mean, like I said, I've kind of just learned the what it kind of means by the whole like DC Flashpoint thing. I think it adds a little bit too much confusion when you start going back and changing things so it changes the future. Like Merlin said, them things no longer exist in the future and you need a very convoluted story to explain stuff like that, I
That's when
think.
multiverses start coming into it.
Like it barely worked in Marvel, and then they had
Endgame.
to have well, I mean, it's been years, so if you haven't seen it, tough shit, spoilers. Like
So
they
we're
had
just Marvel
Cap
spoilers.
go back and put the stones in all the same places again,
Yeah.
so that they were there in the old timeline for it to happen in the future, so they can go back to the future, in the present, but sideways, you know.
Time
Sure.
travel.
Speaking of time
Yeah,
travel,
I agree.
is Ferric confirmed to be from the present? Quote, could he be a time traveler? I mean, isn't everyone who's touched a chrono rune or chronolith probably a time traveler to some degree?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I do like what Chameleon...
Maybe someone just. Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, I do like what Chameleon just added to the end of the to this kind of sentient question was Guile kind of leaving his knowledge in the automaton, and possibly that being the Bogmore collective, the chronolith is their version of the automaton.
Interesting.
Maybe the Bogmore just don't have the backing of Banehelm, so they couldn't make it walk and talk.
The
They're added
chronolith
features.
is the shade.
It's literally just a pet rock.
Wow.
Continuing on from the automaton, it was asked earlier, what if they could use the captured breaker souls from this week to power them? I think them referred to the automatons.
That would be.
I can see it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
100%.
If we're going along the lines of it being vital stones to power it, then yeah, 100%
Now,
it would need souls to charge.
Would they be making those captured breakers into automatons, or would they be using breakers as like a battery?
Yeah, because surely they can't just turn them into automatons, because then we'll just be like, yeah, I'm still a breaker, so fuck you, I'm just going to go back to the camp, but as a robot. Like,
Thanks, Eric.
yeah, I definitely more think of it as like a battery type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Scooby Doo, the Well of Souls.
That's a very specific reference.
Velma Skinwen.
Rolla?
If we
That-
don't get a
that's one
Jinkies
I
remote,
did.
I'm quitting.
Jinkies.
Pinky
So
emote,
the last
please.
one, we have in the Discord chat was, it's weird because we know it's Shayna supposedly, but Thaddy doesn't react whatsoever. Is it an alias? Question mark.
Oh, I think this is in reference to a few weeks ago we got that note that said like, oh yeah, this person is responsible for working with the Vital Stone, and it gave us that name. And I
Okay.
guess the assumption was, is that like, Thaddeus's granddaughter? Is it an
I like the
alias
idea
for
of it
Thaddeus'
being a
granddaughter?
code name or a code of some descript. Like Garrett, if we're going like, because we mentioned last week, I think it was, that it could be Garrick that left the note for Ferret to find, as his way of kind of interfering and making things happen rather than just two factions staring at each other. And if that's the case, maybe he code just so that if someone reported back to Thaddy, then Thaddy would know exactly what he meant. Long shot, but I do like the idea of it being a code rather than an actual person.
All things are possible.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think we've got time for one or two more, right?
Yeah.
We do indeed.
Indeed, we do.
So since vital stones are like Horcruxes, can you split a vital stone into multiple? I think you probably want to like attach yourself to multiple different vital stones instead of splitting the one, because that would destroy your vital stone, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
but then
I
if
feel
you
like a destroyed vital stone is useless because we had to collect the shards for Giles one last week.
So what if you attached yourself to several vital stones?
then you become that one skin, the Vital Stone Maniac or whatever.
Vital Stone Fanatic, yeah.
That's what
Thank you.
happens. That's what happens.
Yeah.
There you go.
Someone experimented with this already. We know the results. He became a creep.
And could the chronolith be a Pandora's box? Once we unlock it, will it unleash anima or time creatures into the Hololens?
Yeah, so me and Chameleon were actually having a conversation during the week about how the kind of inside of the anima skin almost looks green, like that kind of green color, and then Chameleon was, trying to find a link between that and the green flame. And yeah, we know that because I think we was talking about it with the chronolith when it comes to bringing them time creatures. It reanimates them, animates them, which was kind of another little link. It was, like I said, it was a very loose kind of random conversation that me and Chameleon had. Great chat, by the way, Chameleon. Sorry I dipped. I was at work during the time, I think. I'm always having little conversations, but yeah, that was something that was really interesting as well, because it just also brings up more questions on, how canonical are skins, and can outfits have any reference to the story? If so, how much reference, etc. But yeah, the chronolith definitely looked powered by green flames. I don't know whether I'd say the anima are green flames, but it's definitely a similar hue and or colour.
Yeah.
Could the Anla have been the Bogmore's answer to the Brillstone automaton if they were the answer, if they were the enemies in the war?
Jeez. Every like kingdom has their own like automaton. That'd be nuts.
Yeah.
A champion of sorts.
That would be cool.
That'd be
Ooh,
hell.
can we get the great like automaton wars happening soon?
Yeah,
Everyone
innit,
just sends
for
their
real.
champion.
Be amazing.
That'd be pretty dope. Chameleon, I will say the one question he asked. I read it as, is anime a race in Spellbreak? I sure hope so.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Oh no, the anime is coming.
Just
That's what
just a
terrified
flock
the
of
Pokemon.
14-year-olds Naruto running through Halcyon.
Dear God, they're so fast.
Oh man, it all
Yeah, but
changed
then
when
they-
the anime attacked.
Yeah. They just use kunai and shuriken gauntlets.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually just throw magic. It's just a gauntlet that they throw shuriken with.
The gauntlet doesn't actually do anything apart from protect them from nicking their hands with the shurikens.
Yeah. Which
Glorified
honestly,
gloves.
game changing.
Game changing for real, 100%.
Game changing for ninjas, not for battle mages.
New dash animation is just a Naruto run. I need that in the game. Make it an emote.
Yes,
That'd be
please.
amazing.
Can
Or
we
if
call
we're
it?
able to like,
Can we call it Weeb Speed?
nah, this is how we get anime into here. You know, you just like add a new cosmetic that changes the color of the fire gauntlet flames to black instead of red and orange, and you got a Amaterasu from Naruto. So,
Very nice. Dang, yeah. Oh, I'm thinking now. Could we have a variation of the stone gauntlet? I can never remember his name. Is it Gara, the sand user?
Yeah.
That would be super cool. Him as a skin, just for a start, I think would look so cool. Some kind of animation of the sand around him and stuff. Yeah, that'd be hella cool. Needs to happen.
That'd be pretty dope. Instead of an earthquake, it just kind of creates this like quicksand that like gives a bit of slow.
That'd be really cool.
We just changed the conduit gauntlet from like something that like shoots those lightning bolts to it just charges you towards your opponent and you just Chidori them into the chest.
Oh, I love it. That's brilliant. We need
I like
it.
the idea of changing the conduit one into the bin personally, but
Oh, you're never gonna drop that, are you, Sloth?
I'm gonna just put a tally on the board right now. Week 5 made reference to conduit being in the trash.
Complete. Sloth's got a
Back to week 6.
diary.
Can we keep up the,
Go on.
can we keep up the trend? Can we keep up the trend from Sloth? Only time will tell. Find out next week.
Sloth's just got a diary. The only thing written in every day is trash talk conduit. It's just it. It's the only consistent in his life.
Yeah.
It's just trash talking conduit.
Nah, Sloth has an itinerary for each podcast, and there's only one entry, and it's trash talking conduit. Check.
Oh,
that's what I want to
love
make. That's why I always question if we have a topic. It's like, can I slide this in?
it. Oh man.
We'll just be talking about like the romance between like Garrick and Hope one day, and then Sloth
Oh
will just
yes,
be like,
conduit gauntlet is trash.
yeah, conduit, awful. You know who probably killed Hope? A conduit user.
Probably.
Probably.
Do you know who
I
also
swear
is
down,
a
if
conduit
Ferric
user? Ferric.
If Ferric's not a I was gonna say if Ferric's not a conduit user, I'm gonna flip
Yeah,
the
yeah,
table.
yeah. Ferric's definitely conduit with a wind off hand with a flight rune. Like 100%.
runic.
That's his fucking build. Like 100%, man.
Nice.
Oh, God.
But on that
Oh.
note, I think we will call it a wrap there, guys. Obviously we've run a little bit over. It's like a good quarter to midnight for us three boys here and here.
Jeez.
Dang, it's like early evening for you, right, Adobo?
Yeah, we're getting into the 7 p.m. territory, so not quite as bad as you guys.
I see. But yeah, as always, everyone, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you today, John Nicholas and Crazy Sick Boy, for the follows. We really appreciate you. All the new chatters and new people coming by as well. It's been a hella fun stream. And unless there's anything you guys want to say, I have a person to send the raid over to.
Raid away. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Sweet. Well, we're looking forward to next week. Hopefully, we'll get some even more story implication. Knowing our luck, we're gonna get something else. Not the chronolith, not the trapped breakers. We'll get something new. Onions. We'll get onions next week in Spellbreak. Onions.
We gotta go farm onions.
Onions. But
It's the new Lorebreakers logo.
Yeah,
Onions.
onions. But yeah, we're gonna go send the love over to Luna Moth Dragon. She's streaming some Spellbreak right now. So we'll send all the Lorebreakers over to her lovely stream, and we will catch you all next Friday. Knowledge is everything,
rise up.
breakers. Oh, bye bye. Onions up. And we're clear.
On bed.
Yeah.
All right, good